Welcome to Complete Car. We're here in Spain today to drive this. This is the new BMW iX3. This is no ordinary BMW. This is, of course, the first of the Neue Klasse, all-new, all-electric BMWs, named for that famous 1962 BMW 1500 saloon, the car that saved BMW from bankruptcy all those years ago. This is a hugely significant car. Now, if you go and click on the links down below, you'll be able to find a top 10 video that you need to think, top 10 things that you need to know about this car video made by my lovely and handsome colleague, Dave Humphreys. So I won't go into too many details here because you can find those on that other video, but I'll go through the high points. You can see very new, crisp and clean styling at the front of this iX3. It's got a departure from what we've seen from BMW in recent years, using light instead of chrome to pick out these new kidney grills, which I'm very pleased to say are small and compact compared to, say, the likes of the X7 or the 7 Series. This is a much more clean and handsome car. Underneath, there's a completely new platform and a completely new set of batteries as well, using new cylindrical cells that are meant to be 30% more efficient, 20% more energy dense, and which give this big, roomy family SUV a potential range of 800 kilometers, which is, well, that's pretty massive. There's also 2 electric motors. This is a 4-wheel drive car, of course, and it comes with 469 horsepower. So performance is not in any doubt. What is in doubt is whether or not it can actually live up to that astonishing claimed range. And also whether a big, chunky 2.3-ton electric SUV can be a true BMW when it comes to its driving experience. We're going to head out on the road now in a minute. But first, let's take a quick look at some of the really rather cool stuff that you'll find on the inside. Well, again, if you look below this video, you'll find links to Dave's top 10 things you need to know about the BMW iX3 to get the finer details, but I'll just give you a quick introduction. The biggest and most important thing here is this panoramic iDrive instrument panel that runs the full length of the windscreen and feels like you're peering under the edge of the bonnet to look at your instruments. It's a brilliant system. I mean, that's not hyperbole. It just works so well. It's clear, it's intuitive. You can customize it by sweeping things up and down here from the big central 17.9-inch touchscreen. It also completely takes away the need for the optional projected head-up display that's on the windscreen. I mean, BMW will charge you extra for that. You don't really need it because this display is so good and so simple to use. Space in the cabin is generally very good, as is build quality. I'm not so sure about this knitted material here on the dashboard. I don't think that looks quite expensive enough, although this is not a massively expensive car by the standards of its class. But, you know, I mean, it's not cheap either. It's a BMW. Come on, what are you expecting? The 2-spoke steering wheel is very nice to hold. The seats are a little bit on the firm side. I mean, not Ryanair firm, but they're certainly a little bit hard. And the bolsters, the bits that hold you in place, they're a little bit narrow. So if you're chunky like me, you might feel a little bit squashed at times. But there's plenty of space. There's a big 520-litre boot. There's loads of legroom in the back. And there's a 50-odd-litre frunk in the nose for storing your charging cables and the like. This new touchscreen here in the center, which is angled towards the driver, kind of meant to mimic that lovely angled dashboard you used to get in 1980s and 1990s BMWs. Actually pretty intuitive to use. Obviously, I do wish there were more physical buttons, but that would make things a little bit simpler. But generally speaking, as far as big touchscreens goes, this is one of the better ones to use. And there are some very handy shortcuts for the safety and advanced driver assistance systems, which allow you to tune and tweak those to your liking very easily. There is a digital voice assistant. It's meant to be intelligent. It's meant to be conversational. To be honest, it's fairly useless. We've tried it a few times today. It doesn't actually know the answers to the questions you might want to ask it. You do get a wireless phone charger down here, cup holders. There's some storage space here under the armrest and more down here under the center console. That's the interior in its basic form. The important thing is, let's get out and drive and see what the range is like and see, just as importantly, whether this is a proper BMW to drive. Well, we're out and about in the iX3 now, and the first thing I guess we should talk about is the range. And yes, it does genuinely seem to be holding up. We've even done quite a bit of motorway driving today. And while it's nice and sunny, we are in the south of Spain, it is also actually quite cool. It's only about, 11 degrees out. So while that's certainly not a cold and wet Irish winter's day, the battery is holding up extremely well. That 800 kilometer range does seem to be just about within reach, although I would suggest that about 650 to 700 is a safer figure for day-to-day driving. Even then, that's hugely impressive. It's a 108 kilowatt hour battery sitting obviously under the chassis of the car. It's actually part of the chassis. It's got cell to structure construction, so the battery is essentially a part of the bodywork of the car, which helps it to be a little lighter and stiffer. Crucially, there's also 4 what BMW refers to as supercomputers that control all the various aspects of the car, from the infotainment to the way it drives. The driving computer is known as the Heart of Joy, which, yes, is a bit cringy, but the idea is that it combines all the controls that you need for driving, such as the steering control, brakes, acceleration, the electric motors, etc., and also the driver assistance systems, and it tries to blend those seamlessly in what BMW calls symbiotic driving. And there are little examples of that, such as the soft stop option on the brakes. In theory, when you're using the regenerative braking, this car can come to a complete and gentle and almost imperceptible stop, with none of the last-minute head jerk that you often get when you're using physical brakes. That's the theory, at least. We've been trying to use it today and we haven't been able to get it to function properly, but that's probably more down to us than the fact that we're driving on big open roads and not small city streets. That's at fault. What is very impressive is the automated motorway driving setup. In many European countries now, that's fully hands-off, as long as you keep your eyes on the road, and there's a camera up here by the rear view mirror that makes sure you're doing that. You can take your hands off the car completely and it will suggest lane changes on the motorway to you, and all you need to do to confirm that is glance in the appropriate side mirror. So there's a lot of sophistication going on in here. There's a lot of high tech, and yet there is a nice kind of analog feel to the way this car drives. There's reasonably good steering feel and feedback. There's typically very firm BMW suspension, which does mean that this car does kind of buck and lurch sometimes over bigger bumps. Certainly the roads around Malaga that we're on today, they're quite undulating in places, and you can feel the car reacting quite strongly to that. But like the distantly related X3, it's kind of very firm but very well damped at the same time. So although the movement is there, the recovery from that movement is extremely good. Now, combined with the hard seats, that kind of movement might be a bit uncomfortable for your passengers from time to time, although for the driver, it's much less of an issue because obviously you're in control and you're able to anticipate the movement of the car that little bit better. So yes, it passes the feeling like a proper BMW test. I don't think it's quite as much fun to drive as the petrol-engined or diesel-engined or hybrid-engined X3. It's not quite at that point, but it's very smooth and very quiet. So when you combine that with that exceptionally good electric range, and again, as I said, that 800 kilometers, it just about feels within reach. So this is a terrific long-distance car, I think. Get it up on the motorway, use that impressive highway driving assistant, make the most of that long range, make the most of that comfort and refinement, and potentially you have an absolute superstar of a car. It's not even that expensive. I mean, 74,000 euro for this one, with the four-wheel drive, with the big battery, with the long range, when it arrives in Ireland in March. I mean, okay, that's a lot of money, but within the bounds of the class, within, up against what else it goes up against, it's actually pretty reasonably priced, certainly for what you're getting, certainly for the level of technology, for this brilliant panoramic display, for this really quite good touchscreen, for the performance that's on offer, for that, ultimately, for that range. Oh, and it'll charge at 400 kilowatts. Incidentally, if you can find a charger putting out that kind of power, you can add up to 370 kilometers of extra range in just 10 minutes of charging. Now, that's a claim we haven't been able to test out, but if it stacks up, that potentially makes longer drives and longer journeys in this car really quite simple and easy. And obviously there's full mapping and route planning and charging planning here in the touchscreen. The software on this actually comes from Android, from Google, or at least the basis for the software does. BMW puts its own systems on top, and it is quite slick and quite good to use, although again, I wouldn't be recommending diving too deeply into the menu functions if you are driving. If I have one real annoyance about this iX3, it's when you put it into sport mode. which you have to do by going into the touchscreen. There's no button on the steering wheel for it, which is a bit of a shame. And that's when you accelerate in sport mode, you get that really, really naff, fake, whooshy noise, which I just do not like at all. It's really, really crass, to be honest. It doesn't sound like an engine. It doesn't sound like anything. It's just not very good at all. Get rid of that, though, and I think you've got a really good car in this BMW iX3. This is the kind of car that could really turn doubters in the EV sphere around with its performance, with its range, with its sheer desirability. I mean, it's a BMW SUV, so desirability comes pretty much as standard. I'm going to put that back in silent mode because I hate that fake noise. But yeah, that range stacks up. The driving experience is impressive. The space is good. The quality is good. And the price is pretty good too. This is going to be a very hard car to beat once it lands in Ireland early next year.